Hi, I'm Jack Reeder with Future Pastimes, and I'm one of the designers for the expansions to the classic Dune board game published by Guild Force 9. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about things that you might be doing wrong while you're playing Dune, although probably through no fault of your own. And in fact, in one case, it's definitely our fault because of a misprint on a faction sheet, as you'll soon see. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, and in fact, it's probably going to be the first in a series of videos, so let's just cover 5 things that you might be doing wrong while you're playing Dune. And the first has to do with Karama cards. Now, there are 2 Karama cards in the main Treachery deck from the base game. There's also a Karama card that shows up as part of the Chom and Richess expansion as part of the Richess special treachery card stash that they are selling. But the Karama cards are very powerful cards. They let you buy a treachery card for free, and you can in fact even bid up on a treachery card and not buy it without even revealing the Karama card, something that most people who have played Dune for a long time don't necessarily know, but that's not the thing that I'm going to get to. They're also good for canceling certain faction advantages, giving you a special once per game advantage in advanced Dune, and getting a half price shipment to the planet from your reserves at guild rates, which that payment goes to the bank. Even if guild is in the game, they do not receive payment for that. But the thing that you're probably playing wrong, and probably is probably a little too strong, that some people are probably playing wrong, is that if you have a full hand of treachery cards during the bidding phase, you cannot play a Karama card in order to gain a card that is on there. You can't do that if you have a full hand. So stop doing it if you are doing it, unless you are going to say, hey, in our house, we use the house rule of you can buy treachery cards with the Karama even with a full hand. So that's a fairly common mistake that a lot of players make. So that's why it's on this list. So that's it. You can't use Karama to buy a treachery card when your hand is full. The second thing has to do with bribes and deals. Now, a bribe is when you are giving somebody spice in order to do or not do something, or for information, or what have you. And technically, you can do bribes in BASIC, although in the latest FAQ, the original designers, they mentioned that they never did any spice bribing when they were designing the game, and actually recommend that you do it when you play advanced. But it's not a hard and fast rule. You can use bribery however you want. The thing with bribes, though, is that when you bribe somebody's spice, that spice goes in front of their shield and they cannot use it that turn. They only get to collect that spice during the Mentat pause. And you can't bribe during the Mentat pause either. It's just for collecting that and for any other effects that say do this in the Mentat pause, like exchanging a face dancer. Now, a deal does not have to involve a spice bribe. You can make a deal and you can say, hey, you know what? I'll agree to this, you agree to that. This is a binding deal. No spice has to be exchanged when you do that. There is a difference between a payment and a bribe. So when you are paying somebody for something, that is spice that they get immediately. Now that you can't just say, well, I will pay you spice in order to do it, when really what you're doing is a bribe. There are specific things. So when you pay to ship and that spice goes to the guild, that is a payment. When you pay for a treachery card and the spice goes to the emperor, that is a payment. When the Tlilaxu are in the game and you are paying for reviving a leader, even if the Tlilaxu are making a deal for you about the cost of that leader, that is a payment, and they collect that spice immediately. And there may be other things that involve a payment, but it will say pay as the specifics of that transaction. So, and then let's talk about, while we're on the topic, spice collection. So the spice collection phase is for collecting spice out in a desert territory where you have forces and there's spice there. And there's collection rate of 2 per force unless you have forces in Arakeen or Carthag. And then you collect more, and the Ixians with the cyborgs have a different collection rate as well. And it says on the faction sheet, they can carry more, but collection is really what we're talking about there. You collect that spice, and that spice is also yours immediately as well. So the only time you don't get the spice right away is when it's for a bribe, and that spice goes in front of the shield so everyone can see that you have been bribed, and to remind you not to use that spice immediately. So hopefully that clears up the difference between a payment and a bribe and collection, and when you can get access to those little spice tokens. The third thing has to do with battles and the order of battles and what the aggressor is. And I had this come up recently in a game with a friend of mine who's been playing Dune for 40 years and playing it incorrectly this whole time. The aggressor is determined by storm order. So if you are first in storm order, you are considered the aggressor, which means that you are choosing your battles first. And if you are in a tie, the aggressor wins the tie. What it is not is whoever was attacking somebody in a territory. Like, you're already an Arakean and I've moved in, I'm the aggressor. That's not how the aggressor works. It is determined by storm order. And if I'm first in storm order and I don't have any battles, we look to see who is next in storm order, and they are the aggressor. So the aggressor changes potentially from battle to battle. But if I'm in 3 battles, I'm going to be the aggressor if I'm first in storm order. I will choose the order of those battles, and I will be the aggressor in all 3 of those battles, whether I was the attacker or the attackee in all of those cases. All right, the fourth thing we have on the list is our big mistake on the faction sheet is the Ixian's hidden mobile stronghold and how it collects spice. So when you move your hidden mobile stronghold, before the storm moves after turn 1, and it goes into a territory containing spice, or leaves a territory containing spice, or goes through a territory containing spice. It can collect spice depending on the number of forces in there. The faction sheet says sector, and that is not correct. It does need to be in the correct sector, but it does need to be in the actual territory that has the spice. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are playing that incorrectly, and that's not your fault, but it is wrong and you have to stop. And house rule, no, you cannot. It's absurd that you can just go into the sector and collect that spice. So that is an important thing that you should definitely start collecting. And the last thing that we'll cover in this video has to do with your leaders in battle. So if you and I are in a battle and I win the battle, your leader doesn't die unless I have used a weapon and you do not have the proper defense for it. And a lot of people are like, oh, I lost them. They put their leader in the tanks, and they're like, no, they're not dead. They're still alive. You get them back, and you can use them on a subsequent turn. In fact, if you're in another battle here, which you wouldn't be because you lost that battle, you would be able to use that leader again. The other thing about that, though, is if I do kill your leader, I'm going to collect spice for it. And if you kill my leader, yet I win the battle, I will collect spice for my leader as well. The winner of the battle collects the spice for all of the dead leaders in that battle. And that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily know or remember. But it's important because that can be a significant income. If you've got a battle where you've got Stilgar and Jessica and they're fighting it out and they both die, but the Fremen dialed higher, the Fremen are going to be collecting 7 spice for Stilgar and 5 spice for Jessica if they were both killed in that battle. So that is an important distinction, and something that I hope that players who haven't been doing it correctly will start remembering. Yes, I'm going to get spice for all of the dead leaders. So that's it for this video. I know that there are definitely other things that people are doing wrong, and there will be additional videos. If there's something that you recently learned that you had been playing wrong, or noticed that other people do wrong, don't hesitate to put those in the comments. We'll definitely cover some more of those things in a future video. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.